my name's Jana. I'm a second year medical student going to my third year at University of Exeter. So I remember this time a couple of years ago, I was getting a bit worried about my UCAT exam, so I thought I'd make a video on how I prepared for it and how the outcome went. My trim is looking dead, but for the love of UCAT, I'm here making a video for you guys. So to make this video a bit easier to watch, I thought I'd split up into 3 sections. So the first section being the UCAT itself, the second section being how I prepared for it using Medify, and the third section being just some general tips to help anyone revising for an exam. For the UCAT exam, or as it was called when I sat it, the UCAT, is an aptitude test that anyone who wants to study medicine or dentistry pretty much in the UK has to take. So there's 4 sections to the exam. First there's verbal reasoning, decision making, abstract reasoning, and quantitative reasoning. Yep, I got that. And then one more, and that's situational judgement. So you probably can tell from my clickbait title that I got 3030, but I'll break down the scores for you here. I got 570 in verbal reasoning, 690 in decision making, 890 in quantitative reasoning, and 880 in abstract reasoning. So this score, in conjugation with the rest of my application, got me interviews at Exeter, Queen Mary's, Nottingham and Southampton. I know there's some people who say you can't really revise for the exam because there's no curriculum to be taught, but I feel like because it's an exam and there's practice questions available, then you should make the most of it. There is some luck involved in the exam, but you can't control that and you should focus on what you can control, and that's preparing for this exam. So what I used to prepare for this exam was Medify. Medify is a great tool because it's got loads of practice questions on there, and it's also in the similar format to how you'd sit it in the exam. So when I was sitting Medify, it was around 3,000 questions on this website, but now it's over 10,000. There's loads of other courses out there, like Kaplan courses, and you can pay to get tutors and all these fancy books. I feel like at the end of the day, because you've got such limited time to sit the questions, it's just about pattern recognition. So as soon as you see a question, you just know immediately what to do straight away, especially when it comes to abstract reasoning. The best way to improve your pattern recognition is just keep doing questions, and the more you do, the easier it becomes. So I started Medify around mid-July, and I sat my exam on the last day of August, so they gave me around 6 or 7 weeks to prepare for it. So to start with, I watched all the videos, understanding all the sections, like how many questions there are and what sort of questions come up. And then from there, I did as many questions as I could from that point until the exam. So when I was revising for the exam, I enjoyed abstract reasoning and quantitative reasoning a lot more. That's because at school my favourite subject probably was maths. I also really liked to enjoy puzzles as well. So when I was doing questions for those exams, I finished all the questions in those 2 sections, but for verbal reasoning I didn't really enjoy it because it's just comprehensions. So I only did half of the questions, and that probably reflected in my exam score. So I'd say don't do what I did, and you should treat all the sections the same because they're all out of 900. So you should, instead of prioritising one section, you should do questions from all of them. So this follows me nicely to my third section of the video, which is some general tips. So my first tip is to start small. There's a lot of people who say that, oh, if you revise for too long, then you'll peak too early. I feel like once you understand all the sections, when you're starting to do questions, just do like half an hour or to 45 minutes a day. Just start and then slowly build up, because I feel like if you do as many as you can at the beginning, you probably get to a point where you think, oh, I know how all the questions work, and I know how like the exam's going to play out. So you might just like stop revising. But I feel like if you start slowly and then build up from there, better. My friends who didn't study medicine were like, oh, that's so dead, you know, you got summer to relax off after your AS. You're spending it now revising for this exam. There's 24 hours in a day and you sleep 8 of them, so that leaves 16 hours. If you just knock out an hour in the morning for UCAT, you have the rest of the day, just do whatever you want. So that's the way I saw it. Tip number 3 is to only worry about yourself. So as people can sit the exam any point through summer, people are going to get the result and then they say, oh, I did all this work, but I only came this far, or oh, I barely revised for it at all, I did really well. You shouldn't let it affect you. Obviously, if there's something that everyone's doing and they're scoring highly, then you should probably do that. But at the end of the day, you should only compare yourself to the person who you were yesterday, because that's the person that is going to sit the exam. The difference between the person who's going to get in the first decile and the person who's going to 10th decile, there's not much between them. Everyone has the same resources available to them. It's just the person who's going to score well is the person who sticks with it every day, and the person who's going to not score so well is going to stick with it, but then they're going to get bored and they want to find some new novelty somewhere else. So just like buy a new book or expend loads of money on a Kaplan course. I know all I said was just do the questions, but that's all there is to it really. If you just stick to the questions on there, they're quite similar to the ones I saw in the exam. So if you just do as many as you can, then your exam will go well. So yeah, that's pretty much my video. Just stick to Medify and just do all the questions on there and you will do well. If you're watching this and you don't have much time before the exam, then just do as many questions as you can. If you don't score so well, then don't worry, it's not the end of the world. This only is a part of your application. There's other areas where you could do quite well. If you have any questions about the application process or any more UCAT questions, then leave them in the comment section down below. I talked a lot about productivity in this video, so if you're interested about self-help, I do have a blog as well. I'll put down the link section down below. All the best for the exam. I'm sure it'll work out in the end, and thank you for watching.